and running. Here we go. Hello, welcome to episode 5 of the Strong Athletic Fitness Strongcast. I'm really regretting calling it that, it's a bit too wordy and I have to say it every week. After the mammoth success last week when we had Danny Callaghan on, obviously prison stories is what you want bad boys, so we've got the world's baddest sports therapist, Kyle Simpson, on this week. Kyle's going to tell us how he got into sports therapy, a little bit about his life, and hopefully be quite entertaining. Let's go. Kyle, how you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Firstly, I'd just like to say I did not want to have to follow Danny last week because, mate, when I listened to that podcast, I was literally like thinking, I listened for about like 5 minutes of it, and at that note I thought, like 2 minutes in, I was like, I can't put this down. Like, I had to listen to all of it.
Mate, it was unbelievable. If anybody hasn't listened to that, if you just go back and have a listen, it's fucking unbelievable.
And I said to the lads, I was like, mate, I'll do this podcast, but I'm not following that. And here I am following it. That's why I was stuck in it for so long.
Yeah, unlucky, mate. You're in. Anyway, I'm sure we can get some sort of drama out of you anyway. So, just before we came on, Carl was telling me why I first got into sports therapy. It was so that you could touch shirtless men. Is that still your main motivation, Carl?
Well, bottomless men as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's not as they're not as receiving as you'd like them to be, really. But yeah, some are, which I know are your good days, but usually it's just long days of people getting annoyed at you.
Mate, so sports therapy obviously come in your 20s.
Yeah.
After a long time, but you've been into sports pretty much your whole life.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
So basically it started from having a little brother, or growing up in a house full of lads, we'd all just be fighting each other. I've got like a big family, and so we had four older siblings, and then like 8 years later, me and my little brother Joe came along.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we were all fighting. We were all fighting each other. Me and Joe were fighting each other because we obviously couldn't compete with the older ones.
Yeah.
But really growing up, it was basically my dad, my 2 older brothers, and then me and Joe. So it was again a house full of 5 lads. So we didn't really grow up on Disney or anything like that. We was just basically like Bruce Lee films. Probably too young to be watching it, but like Terminator, Predator, Commando, like all of that kind of stuff. And then or like WWE wrestling, so me and Joe would be like really pissing my dad off, and then my mum when I was at her house, because we'd be like jumping off the sofa and stuff like that. But yeah, got into, we'd always be fighting each other and doing stuff. And then because of like, I started watching Dragon Ball Z, which none of my other family or any of my friends like, but I'm convinced it's an amazing show. So I was like, right, I want to be like a fighter in Dragon Ball Z, so I'd always try to attack Joe. And it got to a point where he started being able to beat me up, and I was like, right, this isn't on. But yeah, so we were just fighting from there, and then basically he got into boxing, and by this stage I was a bit of a fat kid, so he was boxing, and I just wanted to get into it to lose a bit of weight.
How old were you then?
I must have been about like 10 or 11, I'd say. Joe was 2 years younger than me, so he got into it earlier, and he was just like shot off like a rocket with it. He was really good. He was like a natural, I wasn't. I had to work really hard to be just like bearable with it. But I got into that and basically never looked back really. It was even at a young age, like walking upstairs and having your feet hurt or being out of breath and stuff wasn't great. So once you start obviously training, you find something you love, it gives you more confidence, you're able to run upstairs without gassing out, and you just felt more confident, a lot more focused with stuff as well. I remember like my grades like rocketed up in school and stuff like that, because it just gives you like that focus you need, and I think all sport does that, but particularly one like boxing where you gotta be like disciplined and you're pretty much having like a battle with yourself every day to get to the gym and like beat that fear of like going to the gym, especially like a boxing gym as a kid as well.
Where did you first start training?
So it was Pilgrim's Amateur Boxing Club with Andy Zarkev and his sons. But also one of our other trainers, Glenn Mitchell, that was kind of my main, that's like my main boxing gym. So we trained at Cosmo Gym, which unfortunately isn't there anymore, but that was amazing because you'd walk into the gym, it was in like basically a dungeon, so you'd go down some stairs, and it was no matter, it could be like boiling hot outside, like 30 degrees, and you go in there and it's dripping, it's damp, it's just like dingy, but you just love the place. Like I miss the place now. You'd walk down the stairs, go to the left, and you walk straight into the gym. There'd be like a short little walkway, and you'd have all the bags around you. You'd have a ring to your right, and then past the ring, you'd have to go to the ring to get to the circuit area. And I always remember, like, that's where I first met Adam Dom as well.
Right.
And me and Joe, whenever we'd go into the gym, we'd ever go to the boxing gym, we'd get in, and if we look to the right through the ring ropes, and if we see some really bold, muscular guy, we'd be like, oh fuck, it's going to be a difficult session today. Because yeah, that would be one of Adam Dom's sessions. But those are, again, amazing sessions, but back then when you walk in, you think, oh, I really can't be asked for this today.
How long were you training there before you started getting into actually fighting?
Mate, so again, I was a bit of a late bloomer with it. I didn't fight till I was 17 because at first I was just doing it for a bit of fitness. Then Joe was fighting a lot, which was awesome. And I was just like following that. I was like, yeah, I don't really want to fight. I just want to watch my brother fight. Then I wanted to fight, got braces, so I obviously couldn't. My dad wouldn't let me. And then once I hit 17, I had all this training behind me. And I said to my coach, I was like, right, just get me as many fights as you can, please. And within like 9 months, I think he got me 8 fights.
Shit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fucking fights. I remember again, and also, so when you're a junior, like 16 and under, you fight people your same weight and your same age.
Yeah.
I was a senior, I didn't even realise this, because 17 and up was a senior. So my first opponent was 23. And when you're 17, that's
that's a lifetime away.
Like he had all his man strength and all that stuff, and I was literally still in school. And I remember I fought him on my home show, beat him, and then my coach said to me, yeah, he was 23, and I was thinking, I'm so glad he didn't say that. I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't know I'm going in, because I was like got in my own head about it. And he's like, never mind, well, you're going to rematch him in 2 weeks. So I was like, really? He was like, yeah, you remember said you wanted loads of fights, but we're getting them for you. So I was like, okay, great. But yeah, it kind of just went from there, really.
So you had, out of those fights you had in that first 9 months, so you had 8 fun fights in your first 9 months of actually getting out there and fighting?
I can remember, yeah.
What was your record like?
So it was 8-0.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I won all my fights.
Did you win any after that?
Yeah. No, so that was literally, mate, that was my boxing career, 8 fights.
Oh, okay.
Won them, then I think I turned 18, and I think I was meant to be fighting some more, but then I got injured, which will lead on to sports therapy soon. But then I kept getting injured and stuff, and it was just basically constant, like overtraining. I was making myself weak, wasn't eating enough, that kind of stuff to make weight, because I was like same height I am now, but I'm like 98k now, and I was 72 kilos then.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was like a freaking human skeleton.
Yeah,
like the size of my head, like the weight's not going there, so it needs to go from the body. So I was like so weak, mate. Like of all the fights I had, I only fought one lad who was 17. The rest were all like 20 plus, and he was the only lad I actually felt stronger than. That was a really good fight, because I pretty much like whitewashed that fight, and then I got a bit confident because that was my third fight. I was like, cool, like I'm 3-0, like I'm doing well here, and my jab was like so good in the fight, like I was just able to stop him constantly. So then my next fight, I went against this massive like rugby player, and as I got in the ring, wasn't nervous at all. Usually I'm nervous for my fights. I got in, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna smash this, and like I'm at home, this is all good. I literally I got in the ring, looked at him because he got in there first. I looked at his legs, and I looked sort of from bottom to top. I was looking at his legs, and his legs were really thick. So I was like, well, maybe his top half would be really skinny then, and that would be why I'm the same weight as him. Looked at his top half, he looked like an Adonis. I was like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, but then I still thought, well, you know, it's not about muscles. I'm going to smash this guy. Got in there, threw one jab really confidently. He's like batted it away, smacked me, and I think with either that shot or like the shot after, he broke my orbital bone and my nose, like with one punch. And I was thinking, and you can't really feel it at the time, but I felt like a big crunch, and I was like, oh Jesus, I was like, this is going to be a pretty hard fight. And then I like switched on and like got it done. But it was basically like I was constantly just running, hitting, because he was so much stronger than me. So I had to like move away, punch him a few times, move away, punch him a few times. And when we get to the ropes, I'd either move away or just grab him, like, cool, I'm just gonna take a breather, relax a little bit, and then wait for that. But because I've got such a weak nose as well, what I did back then, my nose kept bleeding, and the ref constantly had to stop the fight for my nose. But I thought, you know what, I'm quite happy with this because I'm getting a breather now. But I remember after the first round, I was just like thinking, oh, what have I got myself into? And my coach at the time, instead of giving me any tactical advice, because he said to me afterwards, like, mate, you didn't really need any tactical advice. All he said to me was like, this is going to be a war now. And I was thinking, yeah, thanks, I know that. So I just went out there, I was like, right, let's just make it a war. But yeah, that was definitely like a bit of a wake-up call, that fight.
So then so you finished up your fighting career, you're about, what, 18 now? 18,
I don't think you call it a career, but yeah. But yeah, so I finished fighting, competing anyway. And then I was in sixth form. I was actually planning on being a lawyer. I was doing law, got all my grades in law, I was really happy with that. Then I went to this uni fair, and it was like a law taster session, and my teacher at the time, she was like, oh, you should go like see that. And I was thinking, well, I don't really need to, because I know I'm going to be like a lawyer, but whatever. I went into this law taster session and it was like the most boring thing I ever had. And I had like a midlife crisis or like an existential crisis at the age of 18. I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. So I was like scrambling for all these unis. So it was just because it was just like a big uni fair. And I saw like in big glowing letters, Marjon. And I thought, right, I know Marjon. They're like a sporty uni. I'm just going to apply for every course they've got. So it was like strength and conditioning, outdoor ed, health, physical education, and like sports therapy and rehab. So I just thought, I'm just going to apply to all of them. And back then, I don't know if it still applies to this now, but it didn't really matter so much what subject you did. It was more just UCAS points. So like you get a grade in A level, and that will transcribe to UCAS points. You get enough of them, you can get into like a course. So I got in. Thankfully, I passed. I got like enough for all those courses, and I thought, right, what do I want to do? Didn't really know. But I was in Malta at the time, visiting my family out there, and me and my brother, we couldn't afford to get like 4G or 3G out there because obviously we were like poor students. So there was these steps just outside my nan's house, which we called the Wi-Fi steps because we'd get one little bar signal. So we'd always go by there and like take in turns because if we both used it, we didn't really get enough Wi-Fi. So on those Wi-Fi steps, which is probably a very unsecure network, I was literally just sat down thinking, what course should I do? And I was literally just like, well, I'm getting injured all the time. I may as well just be like a sports therapist or like a physio. So I did that, and I didn't know anything about the topic to begin with. Like the only thing I knew, because we had like on the first day we had to basically we had labels of words and we had to put them with stuff on like a diagram, and it was stuff like anterior, lateral, medial, all of that stuff, and I had no idea what it meant at the time. All I knew was posterior meant ass. So I thought, right, I'll just put the posterior at the back of the diagram, and I got that right. I was like, right, if I can get that right, I can get the rest of it. And then basically just from there, when I first started the course, I felt really out of my depth because everyone else was like knowing what they were doing, and I was just there like nodding, like, yeah, okay. But I didn't obviously have a clue. But after about 2 or 3 months, I started to find my feet, and I literally just loved it. And I thought, right, I need to take my boxing mentality and apply that to sports therapy because. With boxing, it's always for me, it was I want to be the best, because you've got to get in there and fight someone, so you don't really want to half-ass it. So with sports therapy, I was just pretty much right, I need to be the best. I'm starting at a disadvantage really to everyone else, so I've got to put my all into this and just not be better than everyone else, but fulfill my potential with it, or if you want to call it that. But yeah, so I basically just became a super nerd, just started studying all the time, doing all the voluntary stuff I could do. And obviously ended up getting the grades I wanted, so yeah, that was very lucky with that.
Where do you think that comes from? That fierce drive to get in and do it? Is it competing growing up with your family? Do you think? And
I think it's my mum, to be fair, mate. Yeah. I think I get 99% of my personality from my dad. He's a really chilled, mellow guy. But my mum, mate, she's just got a work ethic than no other. She's 64. She's got no cartilage in both her knees, and so I said to her, I'm like, Mum, I'm your son, I'm a professional, I'm a healthcare professional, stop working, because she could go on, early retirement, but because she's a cleaner at Derriford, and she's like, no, I don't want to ever stop working, I just want to keep going, and I've had this, discussion with her so many times, but I said, alright, Mum, if you want to keep going, then do it, but I was like, I can write you, letters and, help you with this case to get, early retirement and stuff like that, and she's like, yeah, but I won't want it, what else would I do? So I was like, alright, fair enough. So I think that must be where I get it from, to be fair. Yeah, but also, boxing definitely brings that out because it just teaches you, it's a big teacher for delayed gratification because you think, man, you got to get up early, go for these horrible runs before school, train after school. I remember one of the worst sessions we'd always have would be sparring at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And because me and my brother were very OCD with it, we thought, right, we have to eat 3 hours before training. Has to be 3 hours before, and if we're training 6 at night, it's fine because we'll eat at 3 p.m. But when we're sparring at 10 in the morning, we had to have porridge, and that's the worst thing to eat that early in the morning. Porridge at 7 in the morning on a Sunday morning. Go to this gym, which again, love the gym, but it's quite damp and cold, and just get popped on the end of your nose in sparring, and I just thought that was probably the worst pain. But I was thinking, well, you just gotta stick at this, and you're gonna get better. And you stick to all of that, keep going, and then you end up winning a fight. And this is the best feeling in the world. Who cares about all the training I did? And that I think that's still why I'd want to be sometimes I want to fight, or UFC was on the weekend. I was watching it with my mate Mark, he was fought as well, and I was like, mate, doesn't this make you want to fight? And he was like, yeah, we were just talking about it, and then I was thinking like, yeah, it definitely does make me want to fight, but again, I don't want to run in the morning. I don't want to run ever. I don't want to like go through all the hours of training and stuff like that. And obviously, like that's their job, isn't it? But like when you're in school, you don't really have to worry about it because you can kind of not fob off school, but you kind of think, right, school's not as important as this.
Yeah.
And then when I really think about it, I'm like, I can't be bothered to fight again.
So when you look back on those days and you say like you loved that gym at the time,
Yeah.
did you love it? When you had to walk into that dingy cold shithole at like 17 years old?
There was definitely stuff I loved about it. And yeah, I think we were there from like 12. There was definitely stuff I loved about it in terms of, I always loved finishing a session because like, right, that's another one in the books. Beforehand, I'd either get nervous that I've got to put a lot of work in because I'd always put a lot of pressure on myself to like, you know, be the best and all that kind of stuff. So it'd either be pressure that or it'd be pressure from sparring, and I'd be like, oh good, I'm gonna have to get punched now. But I think it's more of like a skill acquisition because like fighting can be very scary if you don't know what you're doing, like most things. But obviously once you know your defense and you know your offense as well, and you can kind of, you're a threat as well as them being a threat, it kind of it gives you a lot more confidence there. But even now, mate, like I could spar and I don't care who I'm sparring, I'll still get nervous beforehand because you kind of need that, nerves to keep you sharp and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm the same with jiu-jitsu, like I shit myself
exactly.
and I can tap at any point and it's fine. Like I'm not gonna get hurt, but shit pants.
Oh mate, I was training the other day. And like even then, like you start off really relaxed because I just think I start off with jiu-jitsu like really relaxed and cool, and then like something happened and you're like, right, I'm tensing up now. Think, no, I shouldn't be tensing up, and then you're thinking, well, I shouldn't be thinking that, I should be tensing up.
Yeah.
And then you just like, there's so much energy that goes
in. So many like higher belts and stoners. I get that. To loosen them up before they go in. I couldn't cross my fucking mind. I'd have a panic attack. But so moving on, you're boxing. You've just touched on it. You then went on to jiu-jitsu. When did you get into that?
So I got into jiu-jitsu. So obviously. Through like my business which I started, which we can obviously double back to if needed, but I'll again, so me and my brother both finished boxing. I wasn't really doing any sport at the time, I was just like working on my business and stuff, so I was being a healthcare professional but I wasn't being that healthy with my own health. But throughout this time my brother was doing catch wrestling, which is savage.
Where was he doing that?
With a bloke called Darren Allen. He's at Morgan's gym, which I think is called Zone Fitness now, but yeah, so Darren Allen as well, I think he might be like maybe 80 odd kilos or something, maybe he's heavier now, but mate, that guy is strong as fuck. Speaking of strong athletic fitness, mate, that guy is like an animal. I remember I asked him to bear me once, and I'm pretty sure he did it like 40%, but it pretty much winded me, and I was like, yeah, I don't want any more than that, I don't want any more of that, whatever that is. So Joe was doing like catch wrestling, and whenever we'd like play fight, you can't really play fight with boxing because obviously you punch each other. So he'd always have the advantage because he'd just grapple me and I couldn't do anything, and I was just like, oh, just let me stand up and punch you. like a classic person who watches UFC and doesn't understand what they're on about. And I was just like, yeah, just let me get up and punch you, like, that's the real fighting. And so I was trying to do a bit of grappling with him, but obviously he's still learning, so he can't teach me that well. And then Danny McMillan, who you've obviously had on, obviously he runs McMillan's, he came in for a physio session, and I think I just said to him something like, I was like, yeah mate, I really want to learn how to kick, because like obviously I wanted to learn full striking. I was like, I want to learn how to kick. So basically he was like, yeah mate, if you physio me, I'll teach you how all that stuff. And that's another story in itself. That was like unreal, doing all that. But so I started kicking, I got like fairly good at that, and then I was thinking, let's just give this jiu-jitsu stuff a try. And at first I wasn't really enjoying it. But then like when I got my first submission, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And yeah, it just went from there really. And as you know yourself, it's so addictive. It's just like, because the advantage of it to boxing or any striking really is you can go pretty much 100% as long as you're not being a dick with any like joint locks, like heel hooks or anything like that, and you tap early, you can pretty much just go 100%, tap out, go again, as long as you're fitness.
It's flipped right on its head for me because I was doing it to supplement my weightlifting, like as a form of cardio.
Yeah. And
now the weightlifting is purely to supplement jiu-jitsu, and it's almost getting to the point where I'm like, I can't go to the gym because I've got to train. Yeah,
and mate, it gives you a different type of strong, doesn't it? Again, so I went into jiu-jitsu striking fit, but man, I felt really fit, and then I just had some guy literally get me a mount, flatten me out, and just put chest on my face. and I was like, this is horrible. Like, I can't even tap because my arm is like up here.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't even like tap out. I don't want a verbal tap, so I kind of just had to ride it out until he got me in a submission. I was like, yeah, cool, now I can tap. But yeah, it's like the fitness aspect of it is ridiculous, and I think a lot of it. One good thing about like any kind of sport, but I suppose particularly combat sport, is it teaches you about energy efficiency. And so with jiu-jitsu now, as tempting as it is, I try not to just use my strength. I use it a little bit if I need to, but most of the time, if someone's strong, I'll be like, cool, I'll let them use all their strength, try it out, and then I'll try and take them over.
Yeah, that energy efficiency thing is like massive because myself, I'm still doing it now, and like other white belts come in, like we finish a 2-hour session and we're fucking wet, laying all over the floor, done, can't breathe, and then you got like black belts, purple belts, blue belts, just like basically smoking a joint sat in front of you, like, what, mate?
Mate, I remember when I was in uni, I had a sparring session, like boxing sparring this was, and I went on like I agreed to do, I think it was a Sunday sparring session, like about a week before, and I just completely forgot about it. And I went on like a 3-day bender from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just as you do in uni.
Yeah.
And then on the Saturday, just before I was getting drunk, my mate texted me and said, oh mate, we're still on for sparring tomorrow. And I thought, shit. I was like, I can't let the guy down because he had a fight coming up. So I was like, yeah, of course mate, no worries. But then I thought, I'm still going to drink tonight because I thought he's fairly new, I've been doing it for a while, what's the worst that can happen? And thank God for energy efficiency because he was way fitter than I was in no fit state to spar. But I just kept fainting, and so if I'd faint a little bit, he'd do like a big movement, or he would like be really tense, and I'd just be really relaxed, and I'd basically just react to what he was doing. I wasn't really being proactive, other than if I got a bit tired, I'd come forward at him because that would make him think I'm not tired. And then he just got really tired, so we were both knackered like about 4 rounds in. Well, I think we did 10 rounds in the end. But yeah, afterwards, mate, he was talking to me and I was like, mate, I can't even listen to you at the moment. I need to just lay down and try not to throw up or something.
It's hellish. Those first 3 sessions are like a new level of tired, something I've never experienced before, because it's like tired, but you're also getting your head kicked in at the same time, which is...
Especially because there's a lot of good guys at your place, isn't there?
Yeah, some really, really good fighters over there. And same with your place, there's some really shit fighters, especially the MMA people that are coming through.
Well, Plymouth's great for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. It's great for a lot of sport really, but like I didn't really know how good the jiu-jitsu was in Plymouth, because again, through boxing, you always think, oh, the good sport, like the good people like in London and like Sheffield and places like that. But yeah, like in Plymouth, you've got like world class people down here. We're really lucky with the quality of teaching we got, and it's pretty much like I'm not that well versed in it, but I can't think of a school which hasn't got like really good tuition, really good teachers.
There's at least a star per school.
Yeah.
If not a few. So boxing, and then you made a career decision, went to uni to study sports therapy.
Yeah.
Then how did you get started with KS Sports Therapy?
So at the time, I was working at Plymouth Argyle, like physioing with the team there, and yeah, so that was all going really well. That didn't even really feel like a job. It was just like I was getting paid to learn. It was amazing because the physio there, Paul, was like really good, and the players were like awesome and all that stuff. So they were, obviously because I was quite a young lad, they were like really helpful with me and like helping me out. Taught me a lot of good banter as well, that's obviously always good it's essential when you're working with people.
Yeah.
But I remember, so my brother Joe was just cleaning the old PPG, and so I kind of knew the guy because my older brother used to train there as well, so I kind of knew Will and Guy through that. The guy just comes up to me one day and he's like, you're a physio, right? And I was like, well, actually, it's a sports therapist guy. But I was like, yeah. But he was like, that's a physio, right? I was like, yeah. And he was like, because he used to live upstairs in the gym. And he was like, oh, I'm moving out. Do you want my room? And I think I was like 21 at this point. And he was like, so I was like, yeah, why not? Like, I'll start a business. What's the worst that could happen? I had like no clue about. I knew how to fix people, but I didn't know any of the business stuff around it. And Guy was really good about it because he was like saying, he was like, right, what you need to do is you need to message Will, ask for the room, but don't make it like he's doing you a favour. Make it like you're doing him a favour as well, and tell him how you're going to benefit the gym. So I was like, well, what should I do? And I was just writing like a list down, and he said, well, tell him that it's going to bring more people to the gym, and people are going to feel happy in like a place that's got like a physio just upstairs, and I'm going to obviously be paying rent and stuff like that. So I basically just like bullet pointed all that. And I'm pretty sure Guy probably told Will, he was like, take this guy on, because as soon as I messaged Guy, Will was like, yeah, that sounds perfect, mate. So just went from there. And then I remember my first ever client, he owned like a bar, which was very fortunate because I said, oh mate, you're actually my first client. Or like what's the word? You know, rosy cheeked and wide-eyed innocent, that sort of thing. And he was like, well, have you got an accountant yet? And I was like, no, what's that? He was like, have you sorted your taxes out? I was like, no. Have you registered? No. And I was, so I came away like after my first day, I was like, part of me was great because I was like, oh, I made 20 quid for like an hour's work, this is amazing. And it was in cash, so you could see the money running. But he was also, and I was also like, shit, I've got a lot to learn. Actually, yeah, before that as well, I started, my mum, bless her, because I was living at her house at the time, I started seeing like private clients at my mum's front room. And I'd always be like, Mum, I've got a client coming over, make sure the dog's not wild, can you just stay in the kitchen please? And I was thinking, I was telling my mum to stay in the kitchen in her own house, which she's had for like decades. I was like, yeah Mum, just stay in there, because I've got people that I need to be professional. And I just had them in my mum's front room where she's got like all like doilies on her table and 1,000 cushions on the sofa, but like you've got, to be fair, right?
Yeah, very macho from
so it went from that to having this clinic, and I thought this clinic was like the dog's bollocks. Like, this is amazing. I've got plastic chairs. I've got like a white table. I've got a cactus. Like, what more can I want? And then from like it was so good to start at PPG, and I remember stuff like so I'd be upstairs, and obviously so you have the reception. Did you go to the old PPG?
Yeah.
Was it there? Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was the new one.
No.
Jeez, man.
It was at the Invitational one year, 2016, I think.
Yeah, because that was the one I sponsored.
Yeah.
I volunteered to sponsor, I think that one was. But it was so good because it was like you just meeting the lads. They were all such a good group of lads, and it was just like the ethos of that gym was just amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. It was Westside Barbell as far as I was concerned. That gym. It was like everything.
I mean, I wasn't even training. Like I was hitting the bag a bit, but I wasn't doing any weights. But I wasn't doing any weights, but I had PT qualifications, so I was PTing at the same time as I was physioing to like kind of fill in the gaps. And my PT would mostly be coaching boxing, but if people wanted to do like weights and fitness stuff, I'd get them doing that. But I was basically just running them through like fitness circuits that I'd sort of grown up on. And what would happen is I'd get like my physio clients, and they'd say, oh, like I want to learn how to box, and I was like, oh, I can teach you that. And so I'd be like, right, what we'll do is we'll do a boxing session, and we'll come upstairs and do a physio session, and I'll knock some price off the business minded. And then vice versa, like if they had a PT, like, oh, I feel a bit injured, I was like, well, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm actually a physio as well.
When I told you to lift that deadlift with a round spine.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know that oil up on the lifting station? Yeah. But yeah, so that was just really good because you're cutting your teeth, and I'm sure like Will and Guy won't mind me saying it wasn't the nicest of areas like at the time. They've since moved to a nicer gym. I loved the area because I thought that's kind of where I've been raised, and I love places like that.
It's literally 400 yards down from my house. I was saying it's not a very nice area.
Well, I mean, you've looked nicer than no, but like I've grown up a place like that, so it felt really homely to me, and I didn't really think anything of it. Like I remember before there was two drunken blokes, we should call them, at like maybe 2 PM fighting each other just out the gym, and Will was like, oh, come down here a minute. And I was like, what? He's like, look at those two. And I just had my poor client, like just some like, middle-aged lady walking past them, and I thought, oh my god, this does not look good for like clients. And again, that was more business acumen coming to my head. I was like, maybe the place should look good as well as me providing a good service. So yeah, that again, more stuff I was learning. I remember, so Adam Don would train there as well, and my client would say, like a client would come in the reception and they'd be like, oh, is Kyle ready yet? Their appointment would be at 2 and it's like 1:30, and I'd still be with a client, and then they just send them up like, yeah, he's waiting for you, just go up. So I'd be treating someone, I'd get like a knock on the door, and I'd say to my client, oh, 2 seconds, sorry, I don't know who that is, I'll just be right with you. And obviously, because you'd have like someone, I mean, they wouldn't be half naked, but confidentiality. So I'd open the door like a jar, and they'd go, oh, you're right, Kyle? They said you're ready. I was like, oh no, I'm currently with a client. If you want to wait downstairs in our reception, I'll come down. And I'd shut the door, and I'd always hear him laughing. So there was like so many good times in that gym. And then we moved to the whole gym moved to Faraday Mill. And Will was like, right, mate, where do you want your clinic? And it was like an upstairs space. So do you know, obviously, did you train there when Ian was there and that? And do you know where the room is now? There was no room there. It was literally just flat space, no walls or anything. So I got a guy, one of my clients who was a builder, he basically built like a wall to make it into a full room, dropped the ceiling down, put a door in and everything like that, did the flooring, really helped the place out. I told him I was going to help. I didn't really know how to help. So I was basically just like his monkey for the whole set time. He was like, just put that there, put that there. I was like, yeah, no worries. Got that sorted, and then I was like, right, this is it. This is such a nice clinic. That was amazing. It definitely was a step up. You know, just like bit of just like a nicer clinic. It was a bit bigger and all that kind of stuff. Stayed there for about, I think maybe 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And then basically, just for whatever reason, I looked for another place, and now I'm in the business centre in Catdown. And that place is like just immaculate. It's so nice in there. Like the reception are so nice. The waiting area is good. Obviously with COVID now, the regulations we have to follow. We had to follow strict regulations anyway, but now they're even stricter. And the building that I'm in just makes it so easy to follow because they've got like a one-way system. They've got like an elevator for clients who can't use the stairs. But again, it's only one person at a time. And literally all I have to worry about is just keeping my room clean and obviously keeping the procedure well. So that's kind of like, I've been happy with all of my clinics, but my third one I'm like so happy with it. I've been there like almost 2 years now, and you know, like sometimes the novelty wears off.
Yeah.
So I always go in there and think like, oh, this is such a cool place to work. Like I just love how, like, you know, gratitude is a great thing.
Yeah,
I always try to practice gratitude anyway. But I literally walking out like I literally love the fact that I'm working here, and it's just so good from a business perspective. It's so good for like all types of clientele. It appeals to everyone, and it's just in like a perfect location as well.
While we're plugging your business, before we move back on to you, where can people find you? If people are in Plymouth area and they've got anything sports injury related?
So Facebook and Instagram is just KS Sports Therapy, and ksportstherapy.com is the website. I was very lucky to get that domain name.
Yeah, I think there's a few of them out there.
Yeah.
It's one of the most popular Twitter
handles.
Yeah.
But yeah, just on. So I'm not on Twitter with it. I tried, but I was like, this ain't really getting me much.
Yeah.
So Instagram is the main thing we post on, but we post on Facebook a lot as well. Just at KS Sports Therapy, and yeah, ksportstherapy.com.
One of the things me and you spoke about quite a bit, and you're definitely one of these particular people that is the journey never stops sort of person. You're learning. A lot of people will learn a set pattern, set way of doing things, and that's it. It's done for them. I always notice you learning and going on. What do you think keeps you going doing that? Because you could sit back and say, I know my business, I know what to do, but you always seem to be reading, you always seem to be researching.
Well, firstly, I like having a roof over my head and eating food. Yeah. And the only way I can do that is by making money and getting clients in. And I just think like, again, it's that I want to be the best. If I'm not doing it, someone else is going to put that work in and be better than me. So I don't want to let that happen. And also part of my like affiliation, I have to practice. I need to get X amount of CPD hours a year. CPD is continued professional development, so going on courses and stuff like that. But again, like the main motivation is I just love the topic. Like I love learning about physio. I just love every injury. Every injury isn't completely different, but every injury is like a little bit different because it's individual to the person. I love learning about like pain science, injuries, and when you fix an injury, it's like winning a fight. Because you're like, I love it when I get clients who come in and are like, sometimes you kind of think, well, why are you in here if you don't feel I can help you? Because sometimes you get clients that are like, I've seen loads of physios before, this isn't really going to help me.
I was, when I came to you.
Yeah.
I came to you with a complete negative attitude that my knee's fucked and there's nothing I can do, but I've just
never
well have a go.
And
3 sessions, and I've seen shitloads of people for that knee.
And that thing just only boosts my ego. But no, honestly, when people come in and they say, I've seen loads of physios before, I've had this issue for like 15 years, I'm on painkillers, this and that. I just think, for one, I'm like, cool, that's a nice challenge, but I also think, cool, I'm gonna, hopefully I'm going to give this person a better opinion on physios or sports therapy. I'm gonna just improve this person's quality of life and give them better confidence and knowledge of their own body and how they can fix themselves. And also, I'm just gonna obviously put this person in a better mood. And like, I need to know what I'm talking about if people are paying me to fix them. So that's one of the main things as well. Because I suppose you really want to avoid imposter syndrome, don't you?
Oh yeah.
The best way of avoiding imposter syndrome is not by being an imposter. Like when I first started, I was 21. My first client was like 50. I did a physio session on him, gave him some exercises. I told him what was wrong. I told him how he needs to fix it, and he listened to me. And I was like, this is weird. Like, why is this like older blokes listening to me and like taking on my advice? And I was kind of in the very fake it till you make it mood, because again, I was confident in my ability, but it's very I was confident in my ability in like when I did clinical practice at uni or like at Argyle working with like professional athletes, pitch side and all that. But I always had someone watching over me. Whereas when it was my own business, I couldn't like quickly pop out to my manager and be like, oh, is this right? I just had to kind of go with it myself. And so that was a scary moment, but it's very empowering now because I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. I've got like set principles that I work from, but those set principles, I mean, physiology doesn't change,
No.
but those set principles would change if obviously there was substantial evidence. So those things are kind of like a set. I'll change them if needs be, but you know, those are the things I fall back on. And then like everything else, like the additional knowledge is something I keep trying to learn, keep trying to update. And while I update that knowledge, it basically just keeps reinforces like my main principles. So like, for example, the main principle I use of physio is everyone's body has a certain physical limit. If you go beyond that limit, you get an injury. Simple as that. So like this table has a certain physical limit. If you overload it, it's going to break. With a table, you could either put some nails in it or get a new one. Obviously, you can't get a new body. Technology's not there yet, so we've got to fix with what we've got. So what we need to do is increase someone's capacity just in like a safe manner, and that's basically in a very simple way. All I do is take people who have overloaded their body or their mind, bring them back down, empower them with like knowledge, and obviously physically work on them as well. And then from that, just devise a plan, get them on board with it as well, because the more they believe in it, the more it's going to help them. Get them on board with it, and then just make sure they carry it out.
Awesome. You mentioned, you just touched on it a minute ago, when you were working at PBG originally, you weren't doing any strength training yourself.
Yeah.
Recent years, you must have put on a good 2 stone of muscle mass since I've known you.
A bit fat as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to comment on that.
Yeah.
What got you into the strength and conditioning side of things? Well, not so much conditioning, because the boxing would have been there.
Yeah, I always had the athlete mindset. Even when I was like 106 kilo of fat, I was like, yeah, I'm still an athlete.
Yeah.
Like I'd get tired walking up some stairs. I'm like, oh, that's nothing. That's just on a bad day. I think like I just had certain changes going on in my life, and I had like a lot more free time. So I was like, right, I need to train. I was like, I work upstairs from the gym. I need to start being fit. And also I was like, I'm a healthcare practitioner. I need to look the part, because it's like, it'd be like, again, having a fat PT or like a dentist with no teeth.
Yeah.
You've got to sort yourself out a little bit. And at the time I wasn't in the best place like mentally as well, and obviously it just shows that if you're physically fit, it sorts out, well, it certainly benefits the chemical balance in your brain, so you feel mentally a lot better as well, as you know, everyone does. So that got me into it, and I kind of just got addicted with it. I was just thinking like, I literally love training, or I love the effect of training. Even sometimes when I'm training I enjoy it, but especially afterwards, even when I'm going to the gym now, I just think, just because in my gym you have to walk up some stairs to get to the gym, and I always think, just think of how good you're going to feel when you're walking back down those stairs going to the changing room.
That's that boxer mentality back in though.
Yeah, I think like most of the time I enjoy it, and because like now, if you think when we were boxing, it was like we'd fight for 3 minutes, so we'd have a minute off, so we'd train for 3.5 minutes and have 30 seconds off, and it was just like torturous. And now I'll do weights, I'm like, right, I'm doing weights for 30 seconds and I get like a minute and a half off. That's easy. It's not easy obviously, but that, when I was switching to that mentality, I was like, this is so much nicer to do. And obviously like you look better, so it's all good, you feel better, and you're a lot stronger as well, so you're just much more, your body's more stable. And again, if you look the part, you can sell your product a lot better, and your clients will believe in you a lot more, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. If you look like you've done a bit of athletic stuff, and you can really talk about injuries you've had yourself and whatnot. Touching on like the mental health side of things and the benefits of that, with the balance of finding it away, have you ever found it that it slips you away? Me personally, like when one thing goes, so like let's just say I slip out of my routine more physical, I'm fucked. Like in every aspect of life. Like if I'm not going to get myself to the gym, I'll notice that my food goes to shit. I'll start drinking a lot more. And it all seems to have a knock-on effect. And then when you start training, it's almost like there's a snowball of like, there's no point me going to the gym and then coming home and having a kebab. Do you know what I mean? And that picks you back up again. But I really find personally, like if I don't train, that's the first thing when I notice that like depressive and like not angry, but like you know, like your fuse is a lot shorter.
Oh yeah,
and
because you've got so much
sluggish.
pent-up energy. It's like not letting a dog go for a walk.
So
It's
do you find,
happy, isn't it?
tying it back into sports therapy, when you get clients moving, so you get, obviously a lot of your clients won't actually be athletes, it'll be people that have just got an injury.
Yeah.
And when you get them moving, does that have a knock-on effect then to the other elements, like the mental health picture?
Yeah, massively. And like I see some people who come in and they're miserable, and it's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to say to them, like, you're miserable, you need to, like, if you exercise you'll be happy, but you can't say that, it's hard to say that to someone. Some people would respond well to it, but obviously you don't know these people, you've only seen them for like 1 or 2 sessions. So you know them on a level, but not like that deep of a level. I wouldn't say to them, like, if I had a friend who was going through it, I'd be like, right, go see a therapist, mate. But obviously if it's a client you've only seen for 1 or 2 sessions, there's not that, there's a barrier there. So one of the things that I like to say to people is I kind of try to let them say it themselves, and luckily nowadays people are much more open and knowledgeable about mental health. But I'll kind of try to use myself as an example, and I'll say, mate, I think you're doing really well, because when I can't exercise, I'm injured, I get really pissed off, and like I almost feel, I try to almost make light of it, not in a bad way, but I almost think like, I say like, oh mate, sometimes I feel like I'm depressed.
Show a bit of empathy with it.
And they'll be like, yeah, that's what I feel like. And then it starts the conversation, and you've kind of done it in a non-intrusive way, because they've brought their personal experience into it. And then I'll say like, okay, right, you want to get back to the gym, do what I'm telling you now, do it at home, because sometimes they'll be like, there's no point in me doing this exercise, it's not going to help. And I'll be like, right, what should go? And at the start of every appointment, I'll write out some aims, and the first aim is always the same: pain reduction.
Yeah.
So I'll write it down. I'll be like, right, so your first aim is pain reduction, yeah? They'll be like, yeah, cool. And then I'll be like, okay, like what's the next one? If they're sporty, it's like returning to sport. Some people are, training for the police, training for the military or something like that. We'll get them back to that. Some people just want to, play sport with their kids, or pick their kids up, or push their kids in a pram, or anything like that. So we're like, okay, that should go. We're gonna get you there. Like I'll say, I will help to get you there, but you have to put the work in yourself, and it gives them that motivation. So it gives them something to look at, and then it's literally such an amazing feeling, because they come in like week 1 and they're a bit miserable. They walk out the door a bit happier, and then over however many sessions they need, they get fixed, and then they're like just really happy, they're really thankful, and that is literally like one of the best things on my job, like just the gratitude you get from people. Like, mate, I started at 8 today, and I finished at like 7:30, so that was a bit of a long day, but like, how many people did I see in that time? So I think I've seen like 11 people today, but again, that's 11 people who are thanking me, and like 11 people who I've like helped, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that like the day kind of just flies by, and that's one of the best things about the job. But like touching on what you're saying about the mental health stuff, sometimes if a client, you kind of got to read the room a little bit, but I'll share a little bit about a little bit about my own experience, because everyone has physical health issues, because no one's body's perfect, no one's brain's perfect, so of course everyone's got mental health issues as well. It's on a spectrum, but we're all on that spectrum. So I'll share a little bit about myself to them, and they're like, oh, where did you learn all that stuff? And I'll be like, well, I see a therapist. Like, what? I used to see a therapist once a week. Alan Stokes at Horizon, just plug in.
Also my therapist.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome. Check out his podcast as well, therapy guy. But I used to go see him once a week, and I was in such a shit place. And then suddenly those sessions became once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, and now I see him once a month. Like, thankfully I'm good now, but that's because I work at it. Like, I'm physically fit, but that's because I work at it, and I'm mentally fit, but that's because I work on it. Obviously, but like, you still have your shit days.
Yeah.
So I say to people, I still see Alan, because the best time to see a therapist is when you're feeling good. Best time to see a physio is when you're not injured, that sort of thing. So the amount, mate, his business, I think I've given out his business card more than I've given out my own.
Same.
Yeah.
Two people that I recommend are you and Alan, more than anybody else. PPG.
Yeah.
In fact, Alan, in one of my darkest moments where I wasn't training, and he said, look mate, an hour in the gym will do more for you than 10 hours talking to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Man, that's the sincerity that you get from people like that is amazing, because like sometimes I say to people, because again, like we could go down a rabbit hole with pain science, but just put it shortly, pain is your brain's perception of your body's physical condition, or the condition it's currently in. that you can be physically fit, you can be 100% fine, but still feel pain. Like, for example, or you can feel pain where you shouldn't. So they never used to believe this, but one of the things that like kind of proved that was, like obviously you get soldiers. Some soldiers unfortunately get like limbs blown off, and you get phantom limb syndrome. So a soldier could not have a foot, but still have a painful foot. So that shows you that your brain can perceive something which isn't occurring in your body. So it can be giving you pain where there's no need for it. And I've had clients where I'm like, look, I've helped you as much as I can. I think you should go see this guy because I've even said to them before, I was like, look, I won't charge you for today. Go see Alan. And the first session with him is free anyway. So I was like, look, you've saved yourself £30 here because I ain't charging you, and obviously a free session with Alan. I think that's going to do more for you. And then if you still feel like you've got pain, come back and see me, and then or see another physio or whoever would suit you. But yeah, and then every now and then you'll get a text from them being like, yeah, you're alright. Cheers for recommending me to Alan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, so that's and that's where like the physical and mental really have a good crossover.
They're not separate.
No, they're not. No, health is health.
Ultimately, I mean, and everything is connected.
Yeah.
And the longer you go into it, the more you realise.
It's like your nervous system. You've got your peripheral nervous system, your central nervous system, but it's your nervous system.
Yeah.
Like your health is mental and physical, but it's just your health.
Yeah. So that network is all one universe. Mate, we could go on and on and on, and I want you on more and more.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill everything today. When we get Kyle back on, we'll probably go into a bit more depth into certain areas of Kyle's expertise. Maybe I might do a poll, get people to answer some questions or whatever for Kyle. But hopefully Kyle's going to be a regular. It's taken me just over 7 weeks to get pinned up for this one. So in 7 weeks' time, Kyle will be back on.
Sorry about that.
Kyle, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks, mate.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Cheers, bud.
Cheers, mate.
How's that, mate?